Welcome to today's educational webcast. Going to get into kind of post-high school, kind of career exploration, and of course, touch on the college planning. But I think what we've been getting more feedback on is more to just planning after high school, than college. There's other options, right? I think that's important to make sure we have that as part of the agenda. So with that, again, today's discussion will be what I'm framing as kind of post-high school, kind of career planning and college planning. And I'll hand it over to Shelley and Kathleen. Take it away.
Thank you, David. And once again, my name is Shelley Honeycutt, and we have Kathleen Dion with us today as well. A little background on me: I've worked for two prominent colleges in the Northeast for over 27 years. I've been perfecting my college planning experience. I've owned a private practice for over 12 years in Massachusetts. And Kathleen has been working in higher education since 2001 and has held positions in multiple areas, including admissions, financial aid, career services, and education. Given her experience in many areas of higher ed, she has a full 360-degree view of what it means to decide to go to college, choose a major, work hard to graduate, and try to find a job in your field when you're done. Together, we have created Pivotal College Years, College Planning Portal, and we're very happy to be here with you today. We can answer questions as we go along as well. And with that, let's get started. Kathleen, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you very much. So let's get started. Today, we're going to discuss career exploration and planning your future. Together, we'll review the steps to start your own career exploration and show you how all that hard work will pay off. There are many paths your student can take after high school, and I think we're all programmed to automatically think the four-year college degree is the way to go. But there are many options available based on the career path you or your student is considering. So I just wanted to point out some of the more popular options. First, we have the bachelor's degree, traditionally the four-year degree, and it's offered at colleges and universities really throughout the world. The associate degree, typically the two-year degree. Then we go to certificates, which can range from about 6 months to a year, depending on the concentration. You will typically find certificate and associate level education at community college, but these can actually be a great stepping stone to further your education if that's your choice. And then we also have the trades. And there are various trade prep programs run through higher ed institutions, unions, apprenticeship programs, and more. And something many people don't know is if you go to a school that is Title IV funded, you may be eligible to receive federal financial aid for programs like this. But how do you know which direction is the right one for your student? The simple answer is career exploration. So let's take a moment and talk about when and where to start your exploration. In our private practice, we found that career exploration for very mature students could begin as early as sophomore year, but more often we're working with students in their junior or their senior year. As an adult learner, that may be juggling a job and a family. Your career exploration can really begin anytime you have that free moment, because we have a lot of those. However, it's really just a matter of prioritizing that task. I do want to take a moment to say that I've helped students through career exploration who have had absolutely no idea what they were interested in, and some who were absolutely positive they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and really everyone in between. I think the exploration process is important for everyone. Obviously, if you're someone who doesn't know what they want to do, it helps you figure it out. But it's equally important for students who know what they're interested in, because it often proves they were right all along, and it really does strengthen their confidence in their decision. So let's look more closely at the exploration process we'll discuss today. It consists of 4 steps: career research, reviewing education, job search, and getting experience. You'll start your research on the My Next Move website. This is managed by the Department of Labor. It is a free website to use. It is a wealth of information. It covers industry outlook, educational requirements, skills necessary by industry, among other things. It also has an assessment tool that makes suggestions of possible career paths, which may be very helpful. Career exploration really does start with your interests. So start with what you know. I recommend making a list of career possibilities that you are already interested in. Then you can get recommendations. And to get recommendations, you can ask friends and family, maybe it's teachers, coworkers, really people that know you best, but you really might be surprised of the great information that you glean from asking for these recommendations. Let's go over step one, which is career research. First, you'll use all your career ideas and suggestions that you gathered to conduct a keyword search. And I'm going to go out onto the website in just a minute and show you how to do this. In addition to exploring these options, you're also going to complete the interest profiler and explore the options it suggests based on how you answered the questions. Remember, the interest profiler does not create an account for you. So when you complete the profiler for the first time, make sure to write down your scores, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This way, so when you go back in to do more research, you can just type in your scores without having to do the assessment again. From this research, ultimately, you should create a list of 3 to 5, sometimes it's a little more depending on, how varied you are, of career options that look interesting to you. Then you're also going to produce a pros and cons list, 3 to 4 reasons why you feel like it's a good option for you, and any concerns that you developed along the way. Now, let's go ahead and take a tour of the My Next Move website, and I'll show you how it works. So when it's your turn, it'll be a lot easier. So when you go to My Next Move, you're going to come to this homepage. And right toward the middle, you'll see 3 boxes. The first one I want to show you is on the left in green. And this is how you conduct a keyword search. So if you have something you're interested in, I already have graphic design in my system, you type it in, you hit search, and you're going to see a list of options come up. And these are all related to graphic design. You'll notice in the left-hand corner, there is a bright Outlook icon. So you can certainly start there, but you can click on any of the links. When you pass through one of the links, you're going to come to a career page, and there's a lot of great information here. You're going to see a list of typical job titles that you might find in the graphic design world. This can also be useful when you're doing your job search and you're not quite sure what titles to search. You can come back here. There are videos that they've been adding for several years. It is a big project. There are a lot of different careers they talk about. So if there is a video at the top of your page, they're typically 1 to 3 minutes, and they are well worth your time to watch. You will see what a graphic designer does, what on the job might be like, knowledge you need to have, skills, and abilities. Then there's a box down here that says personality. So if you're someone who has access or has had access to tools such as a Myers-Briggs personality profiler, you can take that information and apply it to this section. Many of your high school students who are at a high school that have a program that helps them with this process has some form of this assessment built into it. So they might already have this information, or they might be able to just log in and take that online. They also talk about technology. You can understand the education required, job look, and then other closely related fields. So there's a lot of time that you can spend here. If you like what the information on the first page has to say, you can go right down to this bottom link that sends you to ONET Online. It's another website that's run by the government. It's still free to use. But what it is a lot more information. So when you see it come up, you're going to see the 5 tasks that were on the first page turn into 16. And then the 5 technologies they mentioned turns into 26. For this reason, I would only click through to the ONET page if the first bit of information looked interesting to you. If you're feeling like it's not an option, don't drown yourself in the information needlessly, but it is there to help. So that is how you conduct a keyword search. I'm going to go back to the homepage, and I want to show you the browse by industry section. So if you're someone that has an idea of what you want to do, but you haven't really narrowed it down to job titles per se, you can search by industry. So for instance, maybe you're interested in education, but you're not really sure what that means. You can choose the education category. It'll bring up a whole list of things that you might consider. And when you click on the links, you're going to go right out to those career pages again. And finally, let's look at the assessment. So I'm back on the home page and I'm in the box to the right that is in pink. And we're going to start your assessment. But here we go. This is a list of the questions. So you just go through, it explained what each of the faces means. They try to make it easier. And I will say and I can only show you the first page without answering them. When students go through this, some of the questions do seem redundant, but they're trying to get a sense. They're firing some of the same questions at you to see if you're answering the same way. And then as you move forward, it will give you suggestions at the end. So it is a really helpful tool. I'm going to go through and enter the scores just so I can show you the rest of it. When you come back for the second, third, fourth, possibly fifth or sixth time, you're going to type in your scores because you should take your time in doing this. If you're curious about which each category means, you can go ahead and click on it. It will explain it. And then you're going to go through job zones. Again, you can take a moment and read through all of this, but I want to stop on preparation. What this means is how much time you're willing to spend to earn the credential necessary to enter the field. So for example, if you are someone that wants to go all the way, your master's or above, you're going to be at 5. A typical bachelor's is around a 4. Associate, a 3, certificate, typically a 2, or if you're someone that's just looking right out of high school, you absolutely can choose a 1. So that's something I like about this assessment. It does show you all different levels of an option. I'm going to click 4, and just by typing in those random numbers, you get a list of results. As you see, they're carrying over the Bright Outlook, so that might be a place to start. They're also showing you best fit based on how you answered the question versus great fit. And if you want to toggle back and forth between levels of preparation, it's very easy to do that. Right at the top of the page, maybe you want to pursue a little bit more education or see what opportunities lie ahead. You can choose a 5 or you can go back down to the 3. It's very easy to go back and forth. Ultimately, when you have gone through this process of doing the keyword searches from your recommendations, possibly looking by industry, completing the assessment, and researching those options, you are going to come up with that list of 3 to 5 with your pros and cons and move forward from there.
A couple questions coming in. So when you're on the My Next Move website, and you've typed in, by sophomore year, I'm sure some strengths, you have. So you're typing in something related to an interest. How does that tie to the potential post-high school, trade school, certificate, college? Like this seems like a website that's really helpful, but how does that help the student tie to those other parts?
Yeah, so if you go to keyword search, you could type in math and you could get lots of different options that are related to math. And then what they would be doing is showing you potential options that are related to that skill. And then you can research them and start to make choices. So it does connect the dots a bit. Also, if you are taking a Myers-Briggs based assessment, again, in those tools that a lot of high school students have access to, they actually do make suggestions of careers as well. So that's another place that you can start. So based on how you answered the questions. So they will connect the dots a bit for you.
Also, I think in the educational section, it'll show you coursework as well, which is super helpful.
Yeah, and this is really helpful if you're trying to figure out your college major, but even someone that might already be in school could come here and start to explore the options. It might help them choose electives to take, or maybe someone that is making a change to their career. You can certainly come here. It doesn't have to be someone with no experience. It applies to all.
So there is a functionality of this that links to another website that might say keen interest in pursuing something in science, math, arts, etc. Then it ties it to a school profile, and that school
Yeah, so when
offers that
you
program is in North Carolina or in
Yeah,
Texas.
so and that ties to the education. So I'll show you, I was actually right on my next slide. So right on that career page, right here in the bottom left-hand corner, where it says find training, find certifications, apprenticeships, when you click on that, it actually links through to schools that offer this type of education. So that's a great way to use that tool. All right, so let's talk about step 2, which is reviewing education, which is really helpful. So to access educational information, you can do that right at the bottom left-hand corner of the career page, which I just showed you. In this section, you'll start to understand the level of education required to earn that credential necessary to enter the field. And then you can click through to the programs themselves. Seeing the classes that you need to complete to attain the credential necessary to enter a field is a great way to gauge your interest. For example, if you do want to become a graphic designer, but 75% of the classes you're looking at that you need to complete to earn your bachelor's don't look interesting to you, you probably need to look in another direction. Now, once you've explored these options and this information, hopefully you've been able to narrow down your list a little, but you can move on to step 3, which is a job search. By reviewing current job postings, you learn many things, including pay scales, day-to-day duties, work environments, the location of opportunities, the credentials necessary, and much more. This is a very helpful piece for students to understand what the actual job might be like, ultimately helping them visualize if they can see themselves in that type of work. Indeed is a very active job board, so it will almost always have what you need. However, you're more than welcome to use any tool you'd like. ZipRecruiter is a good one. LinkedIn has job boards. Just pick your best option. There are a few things I want to point out when you're going through this process, though. First, when you're conducting your search and you're typing in graphic designer, for instance, do not include a zip code. This will allow you to see jobs in all locations, and this will help your students see if certain types of jobs are located in pockets throughout the country. For instance, they may be okay with having to move, or maybe this will help them choose where they want to pick their school. So it's right there in the heart of the pocket of an industry. So that can be helpful. Remind your student they will not know how to do many things being asked for in the job description. This is expected and it is okay. There is a reason that they do need education. So please don't let this detail scare them away from the possibility. And you may find that the credentials, the degrees or the certificates, licensures being suggested for the candidates to possess may be different from the major your student was thinking about. And that's okay too. There's always more than one path to a job. This part of the process could send you back to looking at other majors or training that could lead you to the same end. For example, you may think you want to be a civil engineer, but notice that mechanical engineers are also mentioned as a possibility. So you might consider doing a little research and figuring out which major is better for you. But by finding 3 to 4 job opportunities and reviewing them, your student should have a much better understanding of what the job might be like in the field. And again, when you're done, hopefully you're reworking your list a little, maybe paring it down, and you move on to step 4, which is experience. Experience comes in many different forms. Some people do all of them. Others pick and choose. There are a few ways to gain experience. Volunteering is very popular, reaching out to professionals in the field for job shadowing opportunities or informational interviewing. And finally, internships or part-time jobs. Volunteering is a great way to get involved, meet people, and gain experience or exposure to your field of interest. Maybe it's a greeter at a hospital for someone who's interested in healthcare, or volunteering at the Humane Society for those who might be interested in the world of nonprofits. There are many ways to get involved through volunteering. It's also a great way to meet people, which could be helpful now or in your future. In the slide deck, Teen Life, Federal Volunteer Opportunities, and Rhode Island Volunteer are all links that send you places to help getting opportunities. Informational interviewing and job shadowing, similar but still very different. Informational interviews are a meeting that you hold with someone who has the job that you might want or works in your industry of choice. And I always tell students it is your meeting, so you have to prepare for it, ask questions. In this meeting, you get the opportunity to ask the questions that you like, and often you get to meet that person at their place of business, which is a great way to see things firsthand. Job shadowing is the opportunity to follow or shadow someone. Sometimes it's a few hours, sometimes it's a day or two, depending on the industry. Although you're typically not doing the work yourself, this is an up-close opportunity to see the work firsthand.
So when you're talking, Kathleen, about the jobs, just so people are clear, this could be the sophomore in high school, junior, that says, I really want to, get some exposure to real estate,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna look at, Indeed for that, or Zipper, it's not my full-time job application, but I want a job that's in that area, minimum wage, whatever. I want to get exposure. I want to be able to put that on my application. That's kind of what you're referring to as well, right?
Absolutely. And that's where internships and part-time jobs come in. So depending on what skills you already have, you may be ready for maybe a part-time job in the field. Maybe it's not doing the exact work, but for that person interested in real estate, maybe they can answer phones for an office, but they have exposure to the agents and the brokers there. So it gives them some firsthand experience, which would be more of a part-time job or someone's assistant. An internship is a short-term learning experience, and sometimes you can have more luck getting in as an intern with fewer skills because it is a short-term learning experience, and everyone knows that on both sides. So depending on the industry that you're interested in, that usually dictates their ability to take someone in and whether it needs to be someone with more skills or less. But whether you're trying to find an internship, a part-time job, or even sometimes this applies to informational interviewing or job shadowing, what the organization you're interested in will often post part-time jobs and internships right on their board. So you can take a look, see if there's anything available, and you can start the process online. Especially if you're volunteering, right? Just basic networking. You'd be surprised what's available if you just ask the question. You could go to job search boards like Indeed. I mean, they do post internships. I think you can even find volunteer opportunities sometimes, depending on the organization. So they have a lot of information available. Your school may be able to help you. They should be able to help you. Lots of high schools have lists of organizations where students have shadowed, spoken to professionals, volunteered, so they can help you. If you're in college, you should have a career services department somewhere on campus that can help with these things. And for more adult learners or people who are already out in the workforce, sometimes your current employer can be a conduit to this. So if it's right in your position to have this conversation, maybe you can get a mentor in the department that you really want to be part of. It's also a great way as an organization to show your commitment to your employees' growth. If you're here on the line and you're in that position, you may get to shadow someone, or maybe you can just sit in on meetings. So that could be a possibility. But there are so many ways to secure experience opportunities. For the most part, it is just asking and using your network. There's usually lots of friends and family that want to help a student in this part of the process, and this is a great way for them to help, utilizing their network and who they know. So as you see, career exploration does take time. And that's why we always suggest to students, start now, right? You don't have to do everything in a day. That's pretty much not possible. But if you start now, you're closer to the end than you were the day before. Once you've worked through these steps, you should have a better understanding of what you're interested in. You can start pursuing that education necessary to meet your goals. Through the career exploration process, I see students and families benefit in many ways. First, confidence. The student feels confident in their decision because they've spent some time on it. And their parents or whoever is supporting them feels more confident in their student's decision, right? You're ready to start exploring and moving forward. Your network, by reaching out and getting involved, you now know people. And they may be future employers, recommendations, references, and more. Experience, which you now have in the field. You have distinguished yourself. You have information for your resume, applications for college or other programs, but most of all, you do have knowledge. And finally, peace of mind. Let's be honest, deciding on your future is a privilege, but it also can be a very stressful process. Navigating career exploration, above all, gives most students and families peace of mind, and they feel more confident moving forward with choosing the appropriate education for their student. I wanted to point out in the deck, on the second to the last slide, these are all links that you will have access to. So there is a self-exploration step-by-step guide, career research PDF. There's a page on conducting the job search. And there is informational interviewing best practices, as well as the guide, which helps you prepare, including getting a list of questions ready and a link to our career exploration video that gets you right out to our Pivotal College Years library. So with that, thank you everyone for listening. Great questions so far, but if there are any more, I am happy to try to answer them.
There's a question that keeps coming up about the learning aspect of post-high school is, a lot more remote learning going on, right? You don't necessarily want to go to the physical campus, maybe the expense, you're trying to work and go to school. So I think there's a question here, and also, another seminar for you to present, which we've talked about, which is what I'm calling the hybrid, post high school, which is here to stay. I mean, it's going to continue to grow, right? I mean, you just see the advertisements about the universities that really are trying to specialize more, in the remote learning and in those aspects. So when you kind of start doing your research here through this, these various websites, I'm assuming it takes you to those links too. You're from the family, you can't, you want to go to post high school, you want to keep learning, but you can't afford the extraordinary tuition, right? So does this take you to kind of some different ideas, how to put together that?
Yeah, so absolutely. When you click through in that education section to the universities, it would typically bring you to that educational institution's website. So you can continue to do more research. So you'll get to the major that you're interested in, but you'll also be able to explore the different ways that they're offering that. And I think you're correct, David. There has been an explosion of online, right, over the last several years, but there are so many organizations that are keeping that. It was actually a great excuse to jump forward in time and now, be technologically more advanced. That said, you also have to consider who you are and how you learn best as well. So there are still fully in-class options, right? You're on campus, you're going and having an instructor sit in front of you. There are completely online models, but there are variations of online models. Yeah. Some of them are asynchronous, where you're just grabbing content when you can. You're not required to sit in a classroom at a certain time, even if it's online. Sometimes you're online at certain times. You have to be there on Tuesday nights from 6:30 to 9:30, but it's still online. And then some universities, many these days, let you live in both worlds. So you can take some classes in person, you can take some classes online, depending on your schedule. So yes, there is a lot to vet out when it comes to not only what you want to study, but once you get closer to that answer, you can also look at how that education is administered and make the best possible choice for you and your student.